Barnaby is the premier podcast spotlighting people of color. Every week, we talk news, what we've been playing, and tell you who's invited to the cookout. Our show is all about talking about gaming through a prism of blackness, because we are the culture. Welcome to Chicago, y'all.
Yo, what up, everybody in podcast land? What up, everybody in Chicago? What up, everybody in the internet? I can see you right now. I'm looking at you right in your eyeball while I look at you on the internet, and I see what you're doing. I see you put that thing down. I see you. Put it down. Back away from all the things I see you touching. Don't run with those scissors either. Anyway, massive love to you. Shout out to everybody who came through here on X and Twitch and YouTube. Hope everyone is having a fantastic week. Hope you're having a dope, amazing week. It has been the longest week of weeks, and it's only Wednesday, but it has been a long week. But that being said, please make sure you go check out our last episode. There's a couple of good joints on the feed. There's an episode from PAX that just got released. It's in the feed. It was about the Jay and Silent Bob game. If you're not familiar with that, go check out that episode because it didn't upload properly, so I had to re-upload it on the feeds there. Also, our last episode when we talked about, the price of the PS5 Pro is apropos because we're going to be talking about the state of play that Sony shared with us this week. And also, we have a fantastic exclusive interview from the folks over at Empty Vessel, a new studio that is coming out with a really cool game. We have their design director, Kevin Powell, on the show. I'm going to be talking a little bit about the Plucky Squire, and we're going to be talking with the fam, Cameron Hawkins, to talk about the state of play and everything that we saw during the show there. So please leave us a 5-star review. If you want to give us the most love, give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you go and listen to the show. Please remember to subscribe to the show. Make sure you hit us up on YouTube, on TikTok, all of those places. Our Wale interview is now up on YouTube. It's a couple of weeks late, only because I had to fix some audio in there. So that is now on YouTube. So please go check that out. Spread the love on that and share that with the dope folks that you have in your life. Now we're going to get the man, the myth, the legend, the one and only Cam Hawkins. What up, fam? How you doing, Cam? How's things?
I'm hanging in there. I'm still on the job hunt, still trying to figure something out, but just keeping my head held high, and I'm glad to be here.
No doubt. I'm happy that you are here. Happy that you are, kicking and making things happen. I know it's been a very difficult couple of months, but I'm happy to have you here always, and it always makes me happy to see you. Before we jump into the show, I do want to give a quick bit of love to our friends over What's Good Games, who had their finale show yesterday. That crew is some of the best and smartest content creators on the planet. Andrea, Britt, just everybody on that show continues to do fantastic work. It was great to see Alexa come back on and come hang on, one of the original crew on the show as well. So please make sure you go check out their content. I'm sure that that episode is going to be coming up very soon on their feeds, and give them some love, because What's Good Game What's Good Games has changed the space in the podcasting realm over their 7-year run. And man, you got to give kudos to folks who are doing really great work, and sad to see them go, but happy to know that they have made their flag plant in this industry in the best ways possible. We're not going to hold up everything in this episode. We're going to go right into the conversation around the state of play, but first we're going to hit the 411. Yeah. So the state of play is the latest piece of news in the space for this week. It's kind of the biggest information and biggest news that we got out of the video game industry this week. You know, happy it wasn't layoffs, happy it wasn't something super negative. It was nice to be able to come together and see something positive in the space come together and for us to be able to talk about it. So excited that we are digging into the state of play that just dropped yesterday, and I think a lot of folks came into it with a lot of expectations. I know I did as well. There was a lot of stuff that got leaked, or at least thought were being leaked during the conversation for what the show was going to wind up being. And it feels like a lot of that stuff actually didn't come to fruition in terms of the leaks, and some of it did. But Cam, I want to hear your thoughts about the overall feel about this state of play, because we'll go into the games that were in it specifically while we're running this B-roll for folks who are watching it on the video versions. Tell me what your thoughts were for how Sony did on this version of their state of play.
Yeah, so I personally have never been super impressed with Sony's state of play. Like, I think that for a long time that they have tried to kind of figure out their formula of like how they want these presentations to look like, how they want to execute them. But I think that they finally did it. I think they finally figured it out and they cracked the code. And I think that this was like the first state of play where I was just like, this feels like something that they didn't like throw at a wall hoping it would stick. It felt like that they finally just was able to put everything together in a nice way where we got a little bit of everything. We got new games, we got the first party stuff, we got some stuff that we already knew about, but we got release dates for, and again, just like the variety of genre was a little bit for everyone. And you know, it was very interesting seeing a lot of people being like, oh, Ghost of Yotai or Yote was like saved this state of direct. I was just like, are we watching a different presentation? Like, you know, and even for the games that I wasn't like super into or I didn't really care about, I was like, okay, this is still different. This is still like this is still something, right? Like, it's not like just kind of this waste of time where it's like, oh, you could have just did this outside of this presentation. You could have done it in an email, whatever you want to say. But like, I really liked the way that everything was presented in the state of play. And I hope that this is like the way that they go about doing them moving forward.
Yeah, it was well done in terms of pacing, in terms of, you know, not holding you hostage for a long bit. It's always great to see Sean Benson, you know, being the kind of de facto host for this. Sean is good people, and always great to see her doing this work. And it felt like there was a little bit of something for everyone in this show, where you had a little bit of new stuff like the Midnight Walk that we just got a chance to see, and this kind of really dope, you know, stop animation, claymation kind of style stuff. Folks who were worried about, you know, PlayStation VR 2 not getting any more love and being kind of thrown away, they got some games as well to be able to check out. And I think if you were in the big, you know, nostalgia space, you got Legacy of Kain getting a remaster as well. So there's a little bit of stuff for everything. And I want to just kind of run down the list of things that I saw. And then, you know, Cam, you keep me honest on things that I might have missed. Or if you hear a thing, jump in and just go into it about what you want to talk about. So we saw Stellar Blade and Helldivers is coming to Astrobot in terms of DLC. That was also something got leaked a little bit early, so we knew that was coming. The Midnight Walk, which we just talked about, again, claymation, kind of stop animation game. Hell Is Us looked really, really cool.
Yes, I agree.
That game, for me, was the standout game of the show. And we're getting a quick peek at that right now. There was a weird balance, though, in between it. It felt like, you know, at this point, anytime I see a big monster that is kind of like towering over the main player, and you have a sword, it feels like we're automatically in another Souls-like space. And I want to go back to that thought because I'm kind of done with the Souls-like experience for a minute. So, but I do want to go back to that conversation in a bit. Metro Awakening, the VR2 version of the game got shown, and excited for that because I'm really excited for more Metro. Arcade Chronicles also felt like another Souls-like game. Power World, aka We're About to Get Sued, was on the game. Was on the show. Alan Wake DLC, The Lake House, that looked fantastic. Hitman VR, Legacy of Kain Remaster, Fear the Spotlight, Dynasty Warriors Origins, Monster Hunter Wilds, Lego Horizons, Horizon Zero Dawn getting a remaster. There's a lot of conversations around that. Stellar Blade also getting some DLC, photo mode, and Nier Automata collab in that space. You know, somebody will have a butt out in that game. And there was a montage of games that were getting the PS5 Pro treatment, which was Alan Wake, Dragon's Dogma, Snake Eater, Stellar Blade, AC Shadows, Spider-Man 2, and some other games. And then the game that ended out the show was Ghost of Tsushima 2, or basically Ghost of Yotai, which was the end cap of the show. Cam, I ran down a ton of games right there. Any of those games that you want to kind of double into and talk about? What was the one? I know you talked about the ones that you were thinking about, but was there one that really stood out for you that you were like, oh man, this was the game of the show?
I mean, game of the show, I don't think that it kind of just depends on what check boxes you need for that to be considered. Because, like, you know, we can talk about Ghosts of Yotai, we can talk about you know, and for it being like the new Ghost game, that's super exciting on its own, right? And then, like, I do, and we're gonna go back to this, you said, but like Hell Is Us, like, was like the new thing that definitely stuck with me the most. Like, outside of the Midnight Walk, and that was more just for its art direction. I didn't really remember most of the other new things that were announced, but Hell Is Us was able to bring this kind of aesthetic and presentation in its trailer, at the very least, that I found very I was very curious about, especially as someone who's kind of like you. Like, I get Souls likes, I get why people like it. I personally don't have much interest in them moving forward, like, unless we get like a Sekiro 2. I'm not really super invested in that genre of games, but I understand its appeal. You know, for me, the two big ones I want to talk about is the Lunar Collection that they announced. Those are two very beloved original PlayStation JRPGs that have basically been stuck more or less on the Vita for a long time. That's where I have those games now. So those getting a port is very, very exciting for the JRPG fandom. And then I want to just speak highly about Lego Horizon Adventures again, because that's an IP I don't particularly care much about. Like, I thought Zero Dawn was fine, and I haven't even played Forbidden West yet. But I really, really loved the presentation, the writing, the humor of Lego Horizon. I really hope that, because I know that there are a lot of people that feel like me that aren't super crazy about the Horizon IP. I would really like for them to give that game a chance, because it really nails the kind of humor that like. If you like the Lego Movie, that humor is, like, you know, spades in that game. And so I'm very excited to check that game out. I'm glad that we have a release date. And yeah, I'm very excited to check out that game.
Yeah, it's an interesting show, because I think, like, I think the overarching narrative, or at least what you see online often, is that this is the worst generation we've had in a long time. Xbox isn't able to put out games. Sony is not able to put out games either that aren't, you know, The Last of Us, or, you know, a really big title. Everything else is kind of milquetoast in those ways. And, you know, I think going into this state of play, I think a lot of the energy was really around, you just put out, or at least described what you're going to put out with this beefy console that's going to cost $700. Why? And where is the game? Where are the games that are going to supposedly get me excited for what this is going to wind up being? And a lot of the stuff that they showed during the entire, you know, broadcast, there wasn't a lot there for me, and I feel bad saying that. And it's not because I'm trying to hate, but it was like my expectations are just higher now. And in a space where everything feels like we're continuously going backward in terms of, you know, the idea of what is supposed to be those games that bridge the gap between those really mega releases, it feels like most of those things now at this point are really just remasters. Like, you know, out of the games that were there that they got a chance to show, the Horizon remaster, I don't really care about. I'm not going to go back and play that game, even if it looks prettier on, you know, a new console. Or I mean, I'll play the version if I can get a PS5 Pro, right, and play that version to see if it plays well. But like Stellar Blade and Helldivers and Astrobot, I'm never going back to Astrobot. There's no reason for me to. I already finished it, or at least I'm at the end of it. Metro Awakening is a VR game, and VR games get some love in my house, but not a ton. You know, Alan Wake was the thing for me that I was like, I need to know more about that, because that looked really fantastic, and I know that team always kills it, so I'm like really hyped for them going back into that space. But besides that, and Lego Horizons, which I agree, when we played it at Summer Games Fest, we had a blast playing it. Nothing else really jumped out. I don't care about Dynasty Warriors. I've never cared about that series. That series is not that great. Legacy of Kain, people were freaking out about that. And I'm like, that game is older than half the kids who are in school right now, in elementary school. That game is old. I don't want that. Like, who wants that? I mean, look, if y'all want that, that's dope.
I want that.
Really?
I want
Why?
that. Yeah,
Tell me why.
Because it gives an opportunity for people that didn't get to play those games that are still like beloved to this day to be able to play them, like for them to be accessible.
I ain't worried about you. I'm talking about you. Why do you care?
Why do me, the same thing. Like Lunar is a series that like I've heard great things about, but I haven't been able to take the time to play them. I bought them on the Vita with the intention to play them, but now that they're on main consoles, I'm like, cool. I'm very excited that these games are now accessible for me and many others, especially when it's like, and I think it's like just speaks even more so when you're talking about what you can consider, at least in the West, a niche genre. JRPGs are niche. So like when we do get these opportunities for these older games that people may have missed out on, to have the ability to play them again on modern platforms, that is a huge win for people like that. But like, I understand that that's not like what you look for in games. You're looking for like the next big thing. And like, I totally respect that. I think we're on like two different sides of like that spectrum where like, you know, you like that's the thing that you look for the most. And like, I love new stuff, don't get me wrong, but I also really appreciate it when we get the like things that are just not really accessible on modern consoles or modern platforms nowadays to be reintroduced, to give a new audience or an old audience the ability to play them again in an easier fashion.
I would much rather, if you're gonna rehash older IP, make a new game. Like, I get the old stuff is in there, but like, I would much rather a new version of Legacy of Kain that rebuilds that world back up with all the stuff that we think, you know, it kind of entails within that world, because we know how dope that series is. But like, if you give me a thing, like, I was looking at that game when they showed it, and they showed the, like, you know, when they do that visual where they show you the old graphics and then they fade into the new graphics, I was like, yo, this looks ass. This looks like ass. Why does it look like ass? Go ahead, Cam.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I get the logic behind what you're saying, but it makes more sense from a business perspective to be like, let's remaster these old titles to bring them onto modern consoles, and if they sell well, if they see the interest, then it justifies them to be like, okay, now we're going to put more resources, more time, more energy into a new title.
I feel like if I'm in the marketing layer of wherever that is, and if you haven't had a Legacy of Kain game come out in the past, because when was the last actual Legacy of Kain game to come out?
Probably on the PS2. It
was like PS. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 generations ago.
Exactly, it's a long time.
It's a long time, and then to re-engage interest, you're gonna give me this? That's wild to me. I get it, because you have to reintroduce the character back to the world. I get that part. That I understand for the folks who are in there, but like for the people who are going to be playing this as their first version of that game, who are like, I've never heard of this before, this looks cool, XYZ, those people aren't gonna care. That's for us. That's for the folks who played it before and are like, I get the preservation layer of it and get the like access layer of it. That makes a ton of sense, right? It's like, oh, where the hell am I gonna find a PS2 and go plug that in? Like, nobody wants that. But also, that shit is old as hell. Game is old. That game is old. That IP is old. I'm like, I get y'all with the people who want to bring back the old stuff, but like, come on, y'all. I can't be hyped for that. Anyway, we're watching really quickly. If you're watching the video version of the show, we are now seeing some B-roll from Dragon Age Vanguard, and I do want to talk about this because I sadly didn't get a chance to go to the event that happened a little while ago. I was supposed to go, and then I had to cancel last minute because we had the Wale show, and I couldn't go. But I do want to hear your thoughts about where you are in terms of the Dragon Age thing, because that, like, I know we've seen some impressions of it before, but like, I think what they showed in State of Play sold me above my excitement that was there before. What are your thoughts about Dragon Age Vanguard?
Like, I love Mass Effect. Mass Effect is my like third favorite franchise of all time. Like, I love BioWare, but with Dragon Age, I'm like, oh, like there are spiders. Like, I've been able to play those games, like things like that. But with Veilguard, I like really want to hop in. I really do. But I have a bunch of friends that are like Dragon Age like experts. Yeah. And they're like, yo, I don't think this is the game that you should just hop in first time. There's like a lot of stuff that you're just like not gonna really understand or know about going into it. And so like, and this does kind of feel like a somewhat refresh of the series through my eyes, because like each game has had a new character, but like this one, it feels a little shepherdy. It feels like, okay, we got this new character, this new named character. You get to build them out as you want, and like, I just kind of get that vibe that this is kind of like a soft refresh of the franchise. And so I'm curious if like, so I really want to go back to play the original, like play them on PC, find a mod where I can like get rid of the spiders and just play through them like that. Because Veilguard has it. Veilguard has an arachnophobia mode, so I'm good on that end. Yeah. But I'm just like, it's one of those things, especially after playing other franchises like, you know, Kingdom Hearts, Trails, like these franchises where like you get the most out of them if you start from the beginning. That like I want to experience it that way. Like, I'm really excited. I really loved what I saw. I was really impressed. That was one of the games where I was just like, if I was already into Dragon Age, that probably would have been the hypest thing for the show for me. But that did show me like, oh man, this is a series that I really want to get into now. I really want to take the time to play those games, because you can get them super dirt cheap on Steam now. Like, you can get those games for like all three of those games probably for like $10 total. Like, it's really cheap. And so I really want to play Veilguard, but I know myself enough where I'm like, I'm not going to play that at launch. I'm going to go back. I'm going to play through the series. Because it's only 3 games, right? It's not like a huge commitment compared to like other franchises to get into Veilguard, and because, you know, there'll probably be some sort of DLC down the line. And yeah, so that's kind of how I'm approaching Dragon Age. But I think it looks great. I would not be surprised if it's a Game of the Year contender by the end of the year. Oh yeah. And I'm looking forward to checking it out eventually.
I mean, I think what they showed in that small snippet of gameplay, like just how dynamic the balance between the kind of pick your pick your spell and try to active battle versus kind of tactical battle stuff. That looked real good. Like seeing how the characters synergize together and pull their stuff together to do certain kinds of damage, all that kind of stuff. That looked really, really good. I am very excited for Veilguard in that way, because that thing looks like it's going to be nuts. I was actually, I was going to bring this up because they talked about some of the Blumhouse games being in here. And really quickly, I just want to say, like, as a person who loves horror games, I'm happy to see Blumhouse getting into the space and doing this. It also, in an interesting way, like art direction is also Fear the Spotlight, a little bit older in terms of the way they're kind of going in terms of art direction. But I'm really excited for what they're going to bring here.
Yeah, that looked interesting.
It looked super, super cool. Monster Hunter Wilds again looked really great. I think that game looked fantastic. Got a release date,
February 28th.
Everything is, well, first of all, y'all got to move Monster Hunter Wilds, because that's the day that Spawn is supposed to happen. So like, so like y'all got to move. First of all,
you can't do that to me.
You can't do that to me. Second of all, that is an intrusion on Black History Month. Third of all, move it move it one day. Move it one day.
That was funny.
Just move it one day. You can't have Monster Hunter Wilds in Black History Month at the end of Black History Month. We only got 28 days. Give me that one day, Monster Hunter Wilds. Anyway.
Yeah, February's stacked now because we got
Assassin's Creed just moved.
Creed Shadows just got delayed to February.
Yep.
Avowed comes out in February.
Jesus.
Monster Hunter comes out in February, and then something else comes out in February too that I can't think of off the top of my head right now.
Yeah, there was somebody put up a list of stuff that like just moved into February, and February is going to be stupid next year.
Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, that's the other one that comes out in February.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be madness. Oh my God. Anyway. Any last thoughts about State of Play? Well, before we dip out of there.
I'm super excited that Fantasian's got a release date. I expected it to come out sometime in December, because they said winter 2024, and they didn't give us a release date when I previewed it at PAX, so that's exciting. I'm trying to think about what else. That's probably the main thing that I didn't mention. And while I'm at it, because I know that we're gonna shift gears pretty significantly, I want to shout out Square Enix really quick. They sent me this like care package. They sent this little letter.
Yes.
They sent signed by Kitase, who's the original director of Final Fantasy VII, Tetsuya Nomura, creator of Kingdom Hearts, my goat, and Naoki Hamaguchi, who's the director of Rebirth. And then they also sent this my way.
What? Crazy. What is that?
So it's a framed thing, and it has character art of Vincent Valentine.
What?
So this is the top one is him from the original Final Fantasy VII, and then this is him from Rebirth. I'm trying to, there we go, angle this in a way that y'all can see it.
Yeah.
So yeah. Like shout out to Square Enix. I think I saw a couple of other people get one too. Danny got one of Yuffie, I think it was Yuffie, and then I think Hayes from Inverse, I think it was, he got one of Aerith. So yeah, I talked to the Square Enix people. I was like, hey, is everyone getting like different characters? And they're like, oh yeah, I don't know how many like they sent out or anything. But cool. All I know is that like they sent one out to me. I'm very thankful. I'm gonna get this framed for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to Square.
That's cool. I love stuff like that. Again, like the thing I love about your work is that people are also recognizing your love and fandom for certain things. Like that part makes me really happy. That stuff is really cool. Before we get into our interview for the show, and we'll do that in a second. I do want to talk a little bit about the PS5 Pro, because if you're listening to the show at this point in the live version of it, we are a day away before some of those bundles go on order on PlayStation Direct.
Can I say really quick?
Go ahead.
I need to make Sony. I need to make an apology, an official apology on the Spot On Me podcast. Let me tell you, because last week I was like, ain't no way I'm spending $700 on a PS5 Pro. And then wasn't like the next day, like 2 days later, they announced that 30th anniversary. And I was just like, I'm Sony's bitch. Like, Sony, you got me. Like, I cannot wait for that shit to go up tomorrow. I'm getting that bundle like irresponsibly as I am unemployed. I don't care. I gotta do what I gotta do. I'm getting the Pro. I'm getting bundle. I'm getting the Portal. Sony, like, please don't do me dirty. Please don't do me dirty. Let me get this bundle.
I'm trying to. Like, I can't. So here's the funny thing about all of that, because literally a week ago, we were on here and we were like, I don't know. Like, I was like on the fence and I was like, oh, I want to get it because whatever. 90% of the folks that we follow in the industry, we're hating super hard. We're like, this is too expensive. This is a thing that we shouldn't allow. Sony is trying to get you for your money. XYZ. Literally turn that system gray and put some old iconography from the previous generation's PlayStation on it, and everybody threw their panties at the screen at the same time. Threw their panties in their wallet at the screen at the same time. It was like, yo, I need that. Let me get that. I need it. And I was like, y'all are funny. Y'all are the funniest cats on the planet. So that's one conversation. But I think that bridges perfectly into, really quickly, the stuff that we did get a chance to see, and now there is some real life accounts from people that we know. I think Tim from Kind of Funny got a chance to go check it out in person. Kevin Kenson, go check out Kevin Kenson's work because he's fantastic. He got some hands-on with it as well. And the folks from Digital Foundry also got a chance to go check out the PlayStation 5 Pro. And for what it sounds like, everyone came away impressed with it. And most people were like, look, we know it's a high-end piece of gear. It's going to be for the uber enthusiast, XYZ. But for what it's trying to do, it will absolutely give you that bump up that we have an expectation for in the console. So that was a really good thing to see in terms of being able to see that and have that conversation pop up. But before we go to the interview and before I let you go, Cam, what are your thoughts about Yotai? Because we're getting a chance to go check out. We're looking at it right now. If you're watching the video version on Spotify or YouTube, we're looking at the video version of Yotai. What are your thoughts about this before we go?
Yeah, I'm excited. Ghost of Tsushima is one of my more favorite PlayStation franchises of the recent years. I really enjoyed the artistic direction. I enjoyed the open world more than most other open world games. And I still have issues with some aspects of the game. I think the combat could definitely use some fine tuning throughout, but depending on, when you're doing the kind of the mass battles versus dueling, you can very much tell that it works in one scenario, but it doesn't work as well in another. And I wasn't super crazy about the story overall. I wasn't super compelled by Jin as a character, but I really enjoyed exploring that world, and I definitely am up for more Ghost series stuff. So yeah, very excited.
Yeah, I think for me it was a couple of different things. I think for me, when I did my first review, and I've had a lot of different feelings about the Ghost of Tsushima game. At first, when I did my review, I was like, this is a really disappointing game for multiple reasons. You can go back and look at the review for that stuff, and I laid out the reasons why, and people gave me a whole bunch of crap on YouTube for it. But the multiplayer DLC that they pulled into that game pulled me back into that world. And I thought it was really well done. Visually, that game is gorgeous. I think Sucker Punch continues to do really fantastic work. But I think now that we've had more time with games of this type in this kind of samurai genre, I now go back to thinking about how I felt during parts of that game and the vistas that you get a chance to see. And I would have to say, I would evaluate my thoughts about that now, having gone back and played other stuff that's trying to do what they have and has not done it as well. Because what was the other PlayStation game, the Ronin game that got no love?
Oh, Rise of Ronin.
Rise of Ronin got no love out of in that game, in that space. So it's interesting to think about where that game is going and where it's been. But I'm very excited for Yotai. Shout out to Erika Ishii, who's the main protagonist in this game. We now have a woman protagonist as the person who's going to be there, and the internet is mad. The internet is so mad and so hating. And shout out to Erika Ishii, who's having one of the most fantastic runs in a while. Coming through now as Sector in MK1's Chaos Reigns, and now being the main character in Yotai. Shout out to Erika Ishii for really bringing the heat and being like the A-list star of the VO world right now. Like getting all that stuff in there. Go ahead, Cam.
They're also one of the voices of Rook too in Dragon Age.
That's right. So. That's right. Yes. So Erika Ishii killing it right now, making it happen in a big way. So overall, if you were to give Sony's State of Play a numbered score, we're gonna do it just because I felt like it. On a 1 to 10 score, what would you give it?
I'd give it a solid 7.5. I don't think it's as strong to give it like an 8. Yeah. I'll give it an 8. I'll give it an 8 because I do think that they cracked the code of how these presentations should be, how they should look like. Again, like you said with the pacing, they show a bunch of things, then they have a talking head to talk about either what they're about to talk about. And I think that really worked for them. And I really liked the presentation style that they have done. And because it very much felt like previously that they were trying to do the Nintendo Direct kind of format, and it just didn't really work because a lot of the State of Plays weren't that long. So when you're just kind of doing that back to back, it's just kind of okay, what are we doing here? What's the point of this? But they really figured out how to make those things feel to make everything feel a little bit longer and in a way that makes sense and feels necessary.
Yeah, I agree. I think format and way that they did everything came together really well. I think the moving forward, I hope that they keep this format. And I think that they have done such a really good job of giving everyone in the ecosystem a little bit of love. I'm waiting for them to do the deeper dive on the PlayStation 5, and I'm hoping that they do that soon because, we probably have about a month and some change post the pre-order stuff where you're going to be able to go check out what that's really going to be, and when folks get it into their hands, hopefully they will seed people some consoles. I hope they hook us up with some consoles. I hope they don't give Paris Lily one. He doesn't deserve one. I see him in the chat right now and during the broadcast. I hope he gets a box of rocks that says PlayStation 5 on the front of it. But I'm very excited for what they're going to bring to the table and what that means. So massive love to them for that. So we're going to bid Cam adieu. We're going to give him some love. Please go hire that man if you are in the space looking for somebody who's amazing on the PR side, who's amazing on the content creation side, who is just a lovely human being. Please hook up the fam, Cam Hawkins, in that respect. Before we hit our bigger break and I go in to talk a little bit about my time with the Plucky Squire, I did want to give you all an interview that we did, an exclusive interview with the design director from Empty Vessel, talking about their new game Defect that I thought is really, really cool. So we're going to run into that interview, and then on the backside, we're going to take a quick break and then jump into what we've been playing and my quick review of the Plucky Squire. So check out this interview right about now. What's good, everybody in Chicago? We have a very special interview today. I am joined by Kevin Powell, who is design director over at Empty Vessel. Kevin, so excited to meet you, man. Excited to have you on the show. How are you doing?
Hey, happy to be here. I really appreciate you inviting me on. And I'm just super excited to talk about, kind of a little bit about what we're doing over at Empty Vessel.
Man, I've been really excited. So, like, one of the things that comes through on my end is like the beauty of the industry is that it is very small. Like, everyone knows everyone. Everyone is talking about, you know, new projects and folks who are kind of coming together to do really interesting and fun work. And a good friend of mine was like, yo, did you know there's another studio, or at least folks who are in Oregon, building a new studio or working on a new game and all that stuff? And I was like, what are you talking about? Because like most folks who think about game development in Oregon think about Portland Indie Game Squad and Sony Bend, but there aren't a lot of studios out here. So hearing that Empty Vessel was, you know, had a component here in Oregon automatically perked up my ears. It was like, oh my god, that's cool. And then getting a chance to see the teaser trailer that you all put out some while ago. And then in a minute or two, we're going to showcase the trailer, the kind of teaser trailer for the game. But how did Empty Vessel kind of come to fruition? What was the impetus for getting all these amazing and like really, you know, dope folks with like long pedigrees into this space? I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah. So Empty Vessel kind of came into the world last year, and so through that, like we I was talking with Emmanuel. So Emmanuel Palalik, he's our CEO, and he's been at a couple of different studios, but namely id Software. He worked on Doom 2016, Doom Eternal. Super talented character artist, but yeah, we ended up sort of meeting up in Austin. I know you had mentioned that, there's you know, people in Oregon, but we're like kind of worldwide. We have people in Austin, we have people in Portland, we have people in Europe and Australia, and Japan. So yeah, we're kind of all over the place. But this initially sort of started up in Austin. I was talking with Emmanuel. This is pretty early last year, 2023. We were just kind of talking about, you know, how like devs will get together. We'll talk about like, hey, if we were ever to start up a studio, you know, what would we do? You know, what would we want to build? And so we just kind of started having these conversations. And, you know, there were a couple other people that are currently on the team that we also, you know, were kind of talking with, Rico and Jake. And so those guys, you know, were, you know, similar pedigree, worked at BioWare, Crystal Dynamics, Naughty Dog. And so, yeah, it was just really cool to, you know, just kind of talk about like the what if. And then, kind of late 2023, Emmanuel, he comes to me and he says like, okay, yeah, I'm actually doing it. I'm starting a studio. I'm starting Empty Vessel. And so, you know, when he asked me, I was like, wait, what? That like you're actually doing this? And so yeah, he was kind of the mastermind, and you know, he started getting all these other people on board like Garrett, Enrico and Jake, and just started building out this insane team. And so, you know, at that point I was like, I really need to make a decision, you know, because I was at Airship Syndicate at the time. We were working on Wayfinder, and I really just couldn't pass up the opportunity. So you know, I made the jump over to Empty Vessel late last year, we just kind of been working on our first title, Defect.
Oh man!
So yeah,
super excited for that. I mean, the thing that I always find really interesting is like, and I love the fact that you talked about the kind of like move into a new space, right? Like it's not an easy thing to do. A lot of folks, when you think about the move from one studio to another, there's a lot of conversation that has to happen between you and their management teams and kind of getting you on board. What was the thing that you saw that you were like, oh, okay, this is what I potentially get a chance to work on? Or was it, you know, mostly kind of knowing the pedigree of the team to be like, oh, I want to be attached to something that these folks are working on?
I think it was a little of both. It was first like knowing some of the team that I was going to get to work with, you know, especially with the games that they've all worked on, right? And then also the setting. You know, when we were talking about like what we wanted to do, and then, you know, jump to when he's asking me to join, and it's like, oh, wait, we're doing that. We're actually going to do our own like IP. You know, at the time we had really just been talking about all our inspirations and everything. And, you know, huge fans of like the 80s, 90s, like action films and all that. And so, you know, you can kind of see those like come through in the art and the presentation and everything. And so, yeah, it's just really cool, like getting a chance to work on something like this. So
yeah. So I want to before I show the trailer, because I think, you know, a lot of folks are, you know, who may not necessarily be aware of Empty Vessel and the work that you're trying to do and the project that you're working on. What you know, when you think about your, you know, introduction to the video game industry and kind of your starting and your journey into it, talk a little bit about, you know, what your journey has been, you know, throughout the years of being in the industry.
Yeah. It's been a while. I actually was just checking the other day, and it's like I've been doing this for about 15 years now.
Wow.
So it's like, it's pretty wild. But yeah, I got my start. I actually went to college at Savannah College of Art and Design. At the time they had like a game development program. So I joined and just, you know, kind of went through everything, ended up graduating around 2009. And so after that, of course, went to apply to all these different studios and everything. And then one of them took a risk on me. And that was High Res Studios. They've done a couple of games. I think Smite might be the most notable one from that studio, but they've done other things like Paladins and stuff like that. But yeah, that's where I got my start. Actually as a level designer and an environment artist. So I was like doing art on games like Tribes Ascend and Smite. And then I eventually switched over to game design. So I designed a couple of gods for Smite, and that was like kind of my jump into like sort of combat design.
I love
that. So, you know, we were talking about making jumps to different studios. So, around 2015, I ended up making the jump from High Res to Gearbox Software. And that was where I worked on Battleborn, which is like a, you know, first person shooter with like MOBA like, mechanics and stuff like that. And, you know, that was a super fun project to work on. Got to work on a couple of the characters and everything. And then we eventually transitioned over to working on Borderlands 3. So that was really interesting. That was, you know, one of my favorite games, like especially growing up. Like Borderlands 2 was just like a huge inspiration for me. And so getting to work on like the next installment of that was like huge. I got to touch a bunch of systems and stuff within that. So I got to like make some legendary weapons. I got to make some artifacts. And then I did some stuff within the like spaceship that you like travel in. It's like the hub city. I worked on like the player rooms and then like the firing range and the SDU case. Like, yeah, got to touch a bunch of stuff. So after that, I ended up jumping to Airship Syndicate. That was in 2020. That was like right at the beginning of the pandemic. So like working remotely, you know, for like my first year of that was like really interesting. But yeah, Airship was really cool. We worked on Wayfinder, which is like a third person, you know, action combat. So yeah, I got to touch a lot of different like genres and stuff throughout my career. And so like I have just a lot of just experience with just like combat systems, and then also just being able to play with the camera, player abilities, all of that stuff. So getting to use that experience on trying to create something new for the players is like, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything better than that. At least for me, it's just really cool getting to kind of take all of that experience and put it toward this new project.
No, that's super cool, because again, it like talks to the kind of multiple disciplines that you have to kind of like pull into your, you know, everybody talks about it in the real technical terms, like your tech stack of things that you know, your knowledge stack and da. But like it's great because you have like a big toolbox of things that you've learned over many years working in multiple studios about like what does it take to kind of get a game in a good spot. What would you say if you were to, because one of the ethoses of our show is, and I tell people like, you know, what would my 12-year-old self, if you were thinking about getting into the video game industry and you meet someone like Kevin. So I'm like, hey, Kevin, What does a design director do? Like, what do your role look like in a kind of day to day or the overarching thing that a player might see when they get a chance to check out a game?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I feel like also within Empty Vessel, we're doing some different things within development, and so I feel like, especially my role as a design director, of course, I would direct the overarching design and mechanics of the game. But usually those people aren't the ones that's getting their hands dirty and implementing this stuff. Mm-hmm. But at Empty Vessel, we're all pretty much getting our hands dirty. We're in it, we're building the stuff. And it's just really cool. So yeah, for me as a design director, I would, write design documents and stuff like that. But we're also big fans of rapid prototyping. So we get to, build stuff in Unreal. We're working in UE5. And so, yeah, we get to just kind of try stuff out and see if it's fun or not.
That's rad. All right. You know what? Let's see some of the goodness that you got out there in the world that you're making out there. Let's take a quick look at the Defect reveal trailer.
They called the city man's last resort because everything on the outside would kill us. We're like crabs in a barrel, fighting to get to the top, pulled down by everyone else, by justice that only knows how to place its boot on your neck, by outlaws that couldn't care less if you lived or died. You want to know the way to survive? You fight. Fight like a starving dog. I'm Neil.
That looks dope. That looks super dope. I'm
Appreciate it.
Oh snap! I want that right now. So, give the folks at home a little bit of an overview, a synopsis of what Defect is, the world it inhabits, and I'm getting a ton of cyberpunk vibes in this, cyberpunk vibes and feels. Talk to me about what Defect is.
Yeah. So Defect is our studio's first stab at our we're calling it a immersive objective shooter because we're trying to switch it up a little bit with how a match progresses, how you end up playing around that match based on what you have. We're trying to just kind of switch it up a little bit as far as the online multiplayer paradigm. So we're starting to explore these sort of objectives that you take on with your squad, and that could be different from squad to squad, and kind of just seeing what happens as these squads try to take on those objectives within the same mega structure. And the setting is you're in this sort of dystopian mega city that's being governed by an AI, and we want to just kind of give a look into what that might look like. So yeah, we just want to fully immerse the player in the world we've kind of built. And so, yeah, you see those influence of cyberpunk and, those 80s, 90s action films that, we know and love. So, yeah, we're trying to do something a little different with that, with the whole multiplayer thing. So
I love that because I'm getting so many, like you said, you're hitting that 80s 90s vibe in so many ways. I'm pulling in Judge Dredd, and I'm pulling in RoboCop, and I'm pulling in The Running Man. I'm pulling in all of those pieces that I'm looking at it, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be super cool to be able to kind of inhabit this world and see. Not only you talked about characters, and it sounds like. And tell me if I'm wrong. This is it PvP or is it PvPe? Is it co-op? What's the kind of vibe for what players should expect in that respect?
A little of both. We're kind of focusing on the PvPvE. So there will be elements that will be within the map that won't be player controlled, but we're trying to give this sort of narrative feel to taking on an objective, even if it is within a multiplayer space. So there will be kind of like narrative beats as you're taking on these objectives. But then also, we're thinking about like the co-op feel of it and how you load out with your friends. We're kind of taking a look at both. We're just trying to build the most fun game we can, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited because, again, like I feel like that world, although games, of course, have inhabited those spaces, they haven't been specifically tuned towards that kind of gameplay. It's been mostly open world spaces where we've seen Cyberpunk kind of places land, or if it has been in other ways, it's been, kind of side scroller-esque games.
Yeah.
Like Katana Zero stuff or, those kinds of games. To be able to have like a fully realized, PvP, PvPvE, space, especially because the new hotness is Unreal Engine 5. And I think everyone
right
who has been thinking about the future of games have been tapping that specific engine with this is what's going to be the actual next gen of game visibility and visuals and things like that. How has it been to kind of start to work in, or not start to work in, but to work in that space to be able to kind of really get the vision for the game that you've been looking to make?
It's been really cool. Like a lot of us at Empty Vessel have worked in Unreal for, a lot of our careers. And so it's been super nice just to be able to kind of pick up the editor and, kind of bend it to our will. Right. And it's been getting easier and easier with, just the access to the tools and stuff like that. So I think, with that, it's really cool what we've been able to do also with the size team that we have, because we're only 14 people far. So we've been working on it for a little over a year. But it's been just awesome working with the tools. It's really easy to, kind of pick up and do things, but it's kind of difficult to master. So I think, being able to bring a little bit of that mastery and like knowing how to build things for the experience you want the players to have has been kind of key to us, building out the game so far.
Yeah, and it seems like everybody who I've talked to about, having you on the show and talking about the team and having that discussion have had really, really great things to say about the work that y'all are putting out. Because a lot of people have seen the studio teaser and then now the game teaser. What have been some feedback you've seen from some, gamers in terms of their excitement for what's coming?
Man, it's been really cool because it's like, we haven't really... we never said what our references were for anything like that, but it's cool to just like put out that trailer and see so many gamers like just get it and just understand like what we've been going for that. So that was just like really reassuring. And then on top of that, I know like, we've been talking about PvP, VE and everything, but the like biggest desire is like we didn't even have like negative comments. It was just like, oh, we want more like a solo experience or like a co-op experience with just our friends. So it's like we've definitely been taking note of that and everything too. So it's just been really cool to see the feedback once we kind of got it out there.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm feeling those vibes too. Like me jumping back into Warhammer with friends, and
oh man, Space Marine 2.
Oh my god, that thing is taking up so much of my brain right now. It's like so much of my time.
Yeah.
But it's nice because it's like I'm so used to playing in competitive spaces, right? Like I'm a big fighting game fan, a big shooter fan. So like having those competitive in the MOBA space, having all those competitive juices kind of flowing all the time is good, but it does definitely raise that level of cortisol in a way that's not helpful.
Right.
You're just like, yo, I need to win. So to be able to have a space like this is different. It's nice.
Yeah, I'll comment on that because I think like, some of our design philosophy around, how we want this game to be played or approached is, kind of taking a little page from even like roguelikes where it's like, instead of like, oh, I got to queue up, it's more of like, let's go on another run. That's, I think, a better way to look at it. And that's the kind of feel we're trying to get out of players when they play defense.
Ooh, I like that, because that changes the way I think about that too. Of like, all right, you know, what's going to be the end result of a run? You know, I don't know yet if it's like, you know, for score or for time, or if you're getting you know, upgrades or loot or any of that kind of stuff. But the ability to be able to have that moment where you're like, that was really fun and chaotic, let's do that again. That's awesome. I love that energy all the time. Yeah.
Cool.
That's dope. I want to keep you here for longer, but I also want to hold some stuff, because I want, when the game is closer to having more of it shown, I'd love to have you and the team back on to talk about what we're seeing during those parts of the conversation, because I think that to me is going to be brilliant to be able to showcase. I'm like,
I'd love
hyped for what this is going to wind up being. I'm very excited to see you working on this project, and to see so many of the folks who I know who are working at Empty Vessel, and seeing, you know, the kind of culmination of all that fantastic work and that pedigree kind of come together on a project like this. Please, the door is open. You have an empty chair with us whenever you want to come back and come rock with me on the show. Kevin, thank you so much for spending some time with me today, man. It's been real dope to have you in, and please, more info when you got it and you can share it. Our audience, I'm sure, is going to be really excited for it and want to hear more of it. And just thank you for taking some time out today to come hang out with me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Dope. Everybody, if you have not checked out Defect, like, you gotta go. Like, I know there's some links on their webpage. You go check out. We'll have that in the show notes as well. You can go join and see more of where the community is laying out. Definitely go check out and wishlist the game on Steam. It already has a page there as well, so you'll be able to check that out. We'll have that in the show notes as well. And you got to give Kev massive love for doing all this dope work. I'm excited to see more of his work out in the world, and give him some
Appreciate
love
it, man.
in those spaces too. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to get into some ads, and then right after that, we'll have more Spawn on Me here for you. All right. See you. Yo, that was dope. I mean, fantastic stuff with Kevin Powell over at Empty Vessel, coming through and hanging out with us in a recorded interview that we did a little bit earlier in the week. So massive thanks to him and the team at Empty Vessel for allowing him to come on the show and come hang out with us. We're going to take a quick break and do a couple of quick ads. Probably less than a minute, and then I'll bring it back and talk a little bit about what we've been playing and my fast review of the Plucky Squire. So take a couple of quick minutes, go get some water if you're watching the show. Again, massive love to everybody who's watching the show right now, and almost 500 plus people who are watching us on X, and everybody else who's watching us on Twitch and on YouTube right now. Again, make sure you're watching the live shows when we put those bad boys up. So really quick, we'll get into some breaks, get into some ads, and we'll be right back after this.
Hey there, my name is Naomi, and you might know me from internet things like hosting for IGN. I'd like to introduce you to my new show, This Week in Gaming. It's 20 minutes, short and sweet, and every week I go through all the important gaming news that you need to know, and then we have folks on like Kahlief Adams, who shows up quite often, talk about all the important news. And you get to listen to it wherever you get your podcast, so it's easy to find. Just look for This Week in Gaming and make sure to give it a follow. And every week, Monday at 9 p.m. Pacific time, you get a brand new episode. I hope you'll join me.
Navigate the world of being nerds that actually make a living.
So if you're excited to listen to our conversation, we're going to have brand new episodes every Wednesday.
Follow us on socials in the description box below and join us on our journey.
Welcome back to the Spawn on Me podcast with Kahlief Adams. I'm your host, Kahlief Adams. Hope you're doing well and hope you're having a fantastic rest of your week. Again, if you missed the first half of the show, please make sure you go back and hear the conversation about the state of play that me and Cam had, and then our amazing, awesome exclusive interview with Kevin Powell from Empty Vessel talking about their game Defect. So, I got a chance to finish up the Plucky Squire. I'm basically at the end of the game, so I kind of have a good idea of where everything is going. And everything that has been said about this game, from the previews to the reviews to all of the impressions that everyone had before this game came out, this game is one of my favorite games of the year. I think they have done something really special here with a game that balances not only one of the coolest versions of an art style that I've seen and really pulling together that cartoon style, but also this kind of like reimagining of what it's like to be in multiple worlds or multiple versions of worlds at once. This game is probably about a 15 or so hour game. You know, it's not a super long game, but I think every moment that you're in it, you are finding something interesting to be able to poke at, whether it be a new part of the storybook that you're in, or a new power that you've gotten, or some new enemies that you wind up fighting, or some new mechanics that they wind up putting into the game. This game does a really great job of not only introducing the fourth wall and breaking it, but making the fourth wall a playable character, if you kind of want to think about it that way. Your main character is this, comic book figure named Jot, who is, the swashbuckling hero in these stories that are being written by, the avatar outside the game, while you are embodying all of the actions that wind up happening as that character. You have a couple of other folks that you bring along with you for the ride, who also have like really fun and interesting stories. Like, you don't really get an in-depth listen to or look at who they are as characters, but you get a chance to be introduced to them and find out, what their motivations are and why they're kind of in the story alongside with you. And I have to say, the way that this game plays, super smooth, kind of hack and slashy, and some platformer bits in there. But what really makes this game fun, and the reason why I think you should go play it, is the humor is really smart and well done. The art style and the way that they kind of convey this world is brilliant. I love the way that they have these very specific callbacks to different kinds of genres, where it could be something like a shump in one moment. It can be, if you're watching the video version, it can be, Mike Tyson's Punch Out or Punch Out is in the game in terms of what you're playing. Platforming is really smartly done. And then that's all within the layers that are in the picture book. Then you get popped out into what the real world. And there's even more platforming there that comes together, and more storytelling that happens, and more dynamic moments that come together for you as a player in this game. And I have to say, I love so many of the different characters in this game. They all felt very special and really well realized in the ways that they come together. The gameplay itself is just super fun. And in a time where we're all looking for kind of games that will help you to kind of get to a space where you not only feel really good about the things that you're playing, but you're also, enjoying the worlds that are being built. Plucky Squire is by far one of my favorite games that I've gotten a chance to play this year, and I think it's a game that you should absolutely buy. You should absolutely play it. I think it's a fun game for all ages. It doesn't matter how old you are, you can enjoy this game, and it gives the team behind it so many kudos for imagining what this can be in, it's hard to even explain it, but it's like mixed media in some form or fashion, in the ways that they've kind of built this world and given it something that is really, really fun. Something that it came to my radar very, very long time ago. And I think every time that I'd seen it, I was like, man, I want more of this. I want some of this. When am I going to be able to play it? and it's lived up to all of my expectations in all the ways that I had hoped. So I'm very excited to see if this game gets the love that it deserves, and that hopefully more people will get a chance to play it. And this is a game that, again, take your time with it. This is a game that you don't have to rush through. I think this is a game that will, you know, give you a lot of space to be able to have fun with the vibrant colors and the fun, action that you have in here. And it's really smart. Like, I think the way they do puzzles is really well done. I think the way they do commentary is really well done. The way they add humor to it is very well done. So my love for this game is very high. I think this is one of the best games again of the year, and I think you should absolutely go check that out. So massive love to the team over at Devolver and the folks over at Stephanie Tinsley's PR firm for hooking us up. Tinsley PR, shout out to them for hooking us up with some codes to go review that game. And yeah, we have a lot of great stuff coming up for more of Spawn on Me coming up in the rest of the week. I'm going to be going to go check out a dope game that I can't talk about yet very soon, and we'll have more information about that before we go. And if you're watching the live show, stick around for like 2 minutes or so. I do want to show off something that our friends from Xbox gave to us, and I think it's really cool. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do it while we're live on the show. So the folks over at Xbox sent over this amazing dope package that they have been working with the folks from Forza and the folks from Nike with Jumpman and Luka Doncic, who is, of course, one of my favorite players in the league, and sent over this wild care package that came with a Xbox Series S that is all logo-fied with all the logos for both the Jumpman and for Luka, alongside a custom controller as well that they came through and sent over to us to be able to check out, that has all this goodness in it. Jumpman logo on it, Jordan logo, all that cool stuff. And they sent over a pair of the Luka kicks that come along with it as well. You've seen it on my social media page. You've seen it on my TikTok page. I just wanted to give the folks over at Xbox a quick shout out and say thank you for sending over one of the coolest care packages I've seen in a very long time. So make sure you go check it out on TikTok so you can see the full package there that I got a chance to show as well. So until next week, we're gonna get up out of here with this episode of Spawn on Me. Go check out the other older content, not older, but the other content that's been out on the feeds this week. Go check out the Wale interview that's now up on YouTube. Go check out all the stuff that we have on the podcast spaces. Also, I would love to do some Ask Ka Anything episodes, to do those on short form and put those on our TikToks. Send us some questions. You have our email addresses. You can go find that as well. I'll be putting up the link if you want to send in a voicemail on the social media feeds as well. So if you want to go do that, I'll be in the show notes as well. Speakpipe.com/Spawn on Me, speakpipe.com/Spawn on Me. If you want to be on the Ask Ka Anything episodes, send in a question about anything, gaming related, life related, cooking related, anything you want. I will answer that question for you because I want to do some more dope stuff on Ask Ka Anything. All right, everybody, we getting up out of here. Massive love to you all. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. I hope you find some luck and you can get that PS5 Pro if you can get it. And everybody else at home, please have a wonderful night. Wash your hands, wash your butt, and please keep yourselves safe. Much love to you all. And until then, we will say peace.